I hand the conference over to Mr. Anand Dama from Emkay Global Financial Services Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. We are pleased to have Indian Bank MD and CEO, Mr. Padmanath Chunduru, and the entire top management team, including executive directors and the CFO. I would first request Madam to start with her opening remarks, where we would want Madam to comment on the first quarter results in brief, as well as the recent QIP that the bank has completed. Apart from that, we would also want to hear from you, ma'am, the outlook on the growth and the asset quality, particularly in view of the COVID-induced disruption that we have seen. Post which we can have a Q&A session. Over to you, madam, for opening remarks.
Yes, thank you, Anand. So again, welcome to all the participants of this analyst call. This Q1 FY22 of Indian Bank, I think, is a record in one way that within 3 weeks we could come with these results, and that was part of the operational efficiencies that we are driving in the bank. So I am very satisfied with the progress being made on a quarter-to-quarter basis, not only in terms of time but also in terms of bringing the whole thing together to present to you. So the Q1 again has been the a steady performance, so even during a very challenging quarter. As we mentioned last financial year closing, and even during the earlier results announcements, I think the synergies of amalgamation which we have been talking about and also taking up on a phased manner, that is coming to full fruition during the current year. And the first quarter results also are a reflection of this advantages and the synergies flowing into the bank. So I think before I go into the figures part, I would like to again say that this is because of the combined effort across the board of all the staff of the bank, and that is otherwise this kind of a seamless transition and this kind of results on a sustained basis would not have been possible. So thanks to all our team for that. And now coming to the quarter under review, we saw that this quarter has been a very challenging one, with almost 2 months, more than 1.5 months gone in the COVID second wave. And even our own staff members across the country, many of them and their family members were also impacted. So the focus was on maintaining the health and safety of the staff and arranging whatever we could in terms of help to them. Unfortunately, we also lost quite a few numbers in terms of our colleagues, and that's very sad to see. The second wave was very, very intense and impactful in that sense. Despite that, I think the fact that the bank could perform and also reach the levels that it has reached in the quarter one is very satisfying. The overall business growth, as you can see from the figures, has been on a year-on-year basis. Yes, it has improved 9%. The overall business with deposits at 10% and and the advances at 6%. But on a quarter-on-quarter basis, it has been a bit muted. The March quarter was much better in terms of the opening up of the various parts of the country. And again, with this lockdowns in this quarter, this was a bit difficult. So I think that this is an industry-wide phenomenon that business was a bit muted. Especially the corporate book has been plateaued. Otherwise, the RAM sector grew by 13% year-on-year, and even during the quarter registered a growth. The CASA, which was 42% last quarter, this quarter has come to 41%, which again happened because there was a stronger growth in term deposits at 12% compared to the SB growth of 8%, and the current account actually degrew during the quarter. So this, I think, is a phenomenon that usually happens in the first quarter, and especially the government business that was flowing through the current account has taken a sort of a dip in the current quarter. We expect that this will come back. There are many digital initiatives the bank is taking to get the tie-in from the governments, various governments, so that this CASA becomes a steady stream for the bank. In terms of the advances, the RAM sector, as I said, grew, and corporate, we expect it would pick up in the current quarter and much more stronger in the coming quarters. In terms of the earnings, the net interest income and the non-interest income, I think we have the visibility of the various streams that would contribute, and I'm very happy that there is a diversification in terms of the sources of income also. If investments, for some reason the investment book is not performing to the yields have come down, it would be the advances that would come in, or some other non-fund-based business, or the PSLC commission. So there are various ways of bringing in the income for the bank, and we are very aware of various streams that can be channelized. That said, I think the operating profit at 3,472 crores I would like to say it is something that is a steady state. I think this is something which would be given the circumstances today and barring any big, whatever black swan events as they call it, I think this is a figure, or this is a level around which the bank should be able to deliver in the coming years. The net profit, this again, operating profit, I think another major contribution has been the cost saving or the cost optimization. If the cost to income ratio has really come down very substantially, that is because of all the rationalization that has happened, which has contributed very significantly to the cost coming down, operational expenses, even the staff costs. So last year was a year of amalgamation, and quarter to quarter there was a lot of volatility, and because of the moratorium, because of so many things in the economy. This time, I think this quarter one is much more in that way. There are no external factors that are directing it, except the COVID, which has hit us during the quarter. Otherwise, this is a steady, in terms of the results, I think this is quite a steady performance. The net profit at 1,182 crores also, it has significantly improved compared to the last year's first quarter, almost triple. And I think this is also one figure which, again, it's not just a figure, it is something that the bank has the potential and has the foundation to earn on a quarter-to-quarter basis. The ROE all have shown significant improvement flowing from the higher income levels. The domestic NIM we could maintain at 2.85, though our projection is still to reach 3%, and that is a work in progress. The cost of funds has significantly come down year on year to 4.08%, and this is because of the CASA and the various other initiatives that have been resulting in the interest expenditure coming down. Even the term deposits growth has come from the deposits that are taken at a very, very low interest rate. These are not the high cost deposits. So whether it's term deposit or CASA, the cost of funds has come down for the bank. Expense ratio, as I already mentioned, the operational expenses and actually driving the operational efficiencies through the system, through centralization, the reorganization of the bank. There are so many initiatives that have been taken as part of the amalgamation, and that is now paying off. I think this is only the starting, and this particular flow of synergies will happen during the next 2 to 3 years, and will fully play out during the current year and the next year. The capital at 15.92% is one of the highest in the industry. It is a 247 basis improvement over the last year, and this has in no small measure been contributed by the capital raise that has happened in terms of Tier 1 and Tier 2, but more so in terms of the QIP very recently. As you are all aware, the QIP we had done for the 1,650 crores. The subscription was almost double of, or more than double of that. And we had taken a call that it would be at par and no discount was really offered, because we feel the price itself was a big discount to the book value. We would like the share price to reach the book value, which is today 284 rupees. So we are striving towards that. Other than that, I think about the growth in the current, I think asset quality is another area which is of big concern to everyone. And while the gross NPAs were reduced, the net NPA inched up by 10 bits. And that is, I think, expected in this quarter. And I would feel that out of the slippages that have happened, the MSME book really was the vulnerable one. And that is expected. The restructuring that is in the offing is maybe part of it, maybe some 400 or 500 crores we expect will be upgraded in the quarter to come because we have time up to September. But that said, I think wherever there was no viability or the unit itself was not in existence, we have taken a call not to extend and go on. It would be better to book the loss. So that was the call taken on MSME. The other part is retail and agriculture, I think, are performing quite well, and corporate also. So since the corporate book is sort of stabilized and there are no great surprises in the offing, we feel that this asset quality is manageable, and we still would work towards reducing the slippage ratio below 3%. I mean, keeping it below 3%, and also the credit cost below 2%. This is the figures that we had earlier given, and we have the workings for this for the current year also. Again, barring the one-off event, I think the bank is poised to reach those levels. In terms of growth, as I mentioned, the corporate book is expected to grow after the second quarter, partly during second quarter also. And we have approvals in place to disburse. Once the documentation and the other formalities are completed, these would be disbursed during the current quarter and the quarters to come. So we expect that this year again the corporate book would contribute to the growth, and so we do anticipate a 10% minimum growth on the advances side, given all the way it is functioning. Agriculture has been a good contributor in terms of business growth, especially in the KCC, in the agriculture KCC. This time we want to focus also on the investment credit for agriculture. Since we have these RMPCs and all the structure in place, it is now left to us to leverage. And there is, as part of the amalgamation, we have also submitted a strategic plan to the board, a 5-year plan, which we monitor every quarter, and we go to the board with what is the big strategic initiatives being taken and what is the progress made on them. There is also a synergy tracker, a dashboard that captures all the cost benefits that are coming, or even the expenditure that is being made. So that gives us a very good visibility about where we are and where versus where we want to be. So I think in a very tightly board-controlled setup, we are leveraging the full benefit of this merger. Yes, there are headwinds in terms of the COVID and the fears about the uncertainty around the third wave. But I think given the vaccination drive and the fact that even in the bank and among the families, everyone has been vaccinated, everyone eligible has been vaccinated, I expect that we would be able to handle the disruption, even if it comes, unless it is a very major one. So I think the bank is, again, I repeat myself when I say that the bank is a steady performer. And quarter on quarter, I think we are proving that. And that, I think, would hold the bank very strong in terms of balance sheet resilience, in terms of capital, in terms of asset quality, arresting slippages. We have been saying and we have been doing what we see. So I think that is what will hold the bank at a higher level in the quarters to come. So that would be my opening remarks, and we would welcome any questions from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Dixit Doshi from Whitestone Financial Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Can you just mention about the collection efficiency in Q1 and how it is currently, let's say, even in first 19 days in July? And how do you, let's say, if there is no third wave, how do you see the asset quality going forward?
Yeah, thank you. I think as you mentioned, the collection efficiency took a dip during May and June definitely, but it has started improving in the last week of May, and now in July it is showing a better uptick. In terms of the month-on-month collection efficiency, I think in June it was retail was around 85%. And agree 88%. MSME was the worst hit with obviously the most impacted. It was at 78%, and corporate remained at 97%. But these figures are inching up in the month of July, and maybe towards the end of July again we think it would be back to above 90% on a cumulative basis also. So in terms of that, as I said, as you also mentioned. Barring a third wave or whatever happens under that, I think we should be able to register good recovery and good upgradation in the quarters to come. Not much of field work could happen in this quarter. Obviously, people could not go out, and nor were the borrowers ready to give information or sit and discuss and all that. And so neither restructuring to the extent that it was anticipated could happen except in retail, because that was more like just a request and getting it done. It was home loans and all that. But in MSME, it is a issue that you need to actually engage with them. So that should happen in the current quarter. So we expect some upgrades there. So as I said, I think we are taking this as a temporary phenomenon, and we will work towards resolving this in the current quarter. So we should be back to, as I mentioned, a slippage ratio of less than 3% by March 22. So even given the vicissitudes during this year, I think that is something we can be sanguine about. So that was the issue about the asset quality.
Okay, so barring if there is no third wave, you feel that the upgradation and recoveries would be better going forward, and therefore you don't expect much deterioration in terms of gross NPA from here onwards?
Yes, because we monitor it almost on a very weekly basis at the ED level also, and that is actually giving us a very good insight into what to expect. And what we see is what we are projecting more or less is another factor was the KCC, the renewals that were there. So agriculture slippages have come down very, very significantly. And I think that would again help the bank, that's a big portfolio, almost 80,000 crores. And if that performs to its fullest, I think there is enough diversification in the book to take care of, even if the MSME is vulnerable to a certain extent.
Oh, okay. Now, so ma'am, third question was just a clarification. You mentioned that this 3,470 crore of operating profit, there is no major one-off in this, and therefore you mentioned that it is more like a sustainable operating profit we can expect going forward.
Yes, I'll ask our ED, Mr. Shenoy, to give the components and explain.
I think though there may be, it's not one-off components. It's normally one quarter the profits will be more, the income revenue will be more, the other quarter it will be less in the case of PSLC, wherein almost we have booked around 225 to 230 crores. Again, we expect during the next quarter also a couple of quarters. Even in the case of that investment profit, we had booked at least around 40% in the first quarter. The second quarter also we don't feel. But hopefully what we feel is presently whatever the resources there, we are deploying at a very cheap rate. Once the scenario improves, the economy improves, we'll be able to deploy at a higher rate. So I don't think any one-off items are there, but it's compensating items are there.
Okay.
So it is not balancing is done that way.
Okay. Okay, and just last one question from my side. So,
Mr. Doshi, sir, request you to rejoin the queue, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepak Poddar from Sapphire Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. My question relates to your credit cost. Now you did mention in your opening remark that we are looking at credit cost of below 2% for this year. Now, this first quarter, I think our credit cost was more than 2.5%. So for that to achieve, we need credit cost of 1.8% around for the remaining 9 months. So is that what we are looking at?
So again, credit cost, I think in the first quarter has been high. That is because a major chunk and slippages were high, and so the provisions naturally happen in this quarter. But I think again, as I mentioned, this is not a typical quarter for the bank in terms of slippages. Whatever we used to do in terms of recovery, soft recovery and all, we could not do this quarter. And going forward, I think that would help us, improve the recovery, improve the arresting slippages part. And we don't see a similar situation going forward. And there would also be upgradations and recovery, which we are focusing on and which we have some visibility about quarter-on-quarter basis. So with that working as a backdrop only, we are talking of a credit cost of less than 2%.
No, fair enough. Understood. And ma'am, on the medium term, is there any kind of thought process on kind of credit cost of 1%? Is that something, or any kind of aspirational number in terms of once the thing stabilizes and we are off this pandemic? And so any kind of thought process on that would be helpful.
Definitely, we would like to bring it down below 1%. We are, yes, we have projected given some projections, but I think for now we would stick to less than 2% for this year. Going forward, yes, I think it can come down below that, but I would not hazard a projection beyond this year. Maybe next 2 or 3 years, it might come below 1.5. 1 second, I think our ED wants to add something.
Credit cost, normally we don't think we will be able to bring below 2 for a couple of years, because our ultimate aim is to bring the net NPA below 2%. So our focus is first on bringing down the net NPA to below 2%. So hopefully we will be making a provision, so that is a result of which the credit cost may not be okay. Post that, we should be able to show better credit cost.
Mm-hmm. So ideally your PCR will keep on inching up, right?
It's almost the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And compared to the last quarter.
Yeah, I understood. Yeah, I think that's it from my side. All the very best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rishikesh Oza from Robo Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Oza.
Okay. Hi, ma'am. My question was related to the provision for taxes. So, is it going to continue for the next coming quarters also? Can you please guide us on the same?
Yeah, our CFO will answer about the taxes part.
Mr. Oza, that taxation, earlier we used to do that DTA adjustment at the end of the year. So every quarter during the Q4 only we used to do it. So now in line with other banks, we have shifted it to quarterly. So now henceforth we can see that this amount will be evened out, and we will be having a quarterly basis only. These DTA provisions will be there. So far, my tax liability is there, as earlier also we have pointed out, since there are accumulated losses in EAB balance sheets. So still around 26,000 crore rupees is there, which is on the negative side, and set of benefits are available. So tax liability for the next 2.5 years, we don't foresee any things in that part.
If we aggressively providing it, we'll be able to get the benefit of DTA.
DTA is on the higher side due to that excess provisions made in this our net NPA. As Sir has already pointed out, we endeavored to bring our net NPA to 2%. So we are making provisions aggressively. So part of that goes to the DTA thing.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jay Mundra from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi ma'am. Good afternoon. First on slippages, ma'am. Yeah, this quarter the slippages from MSME, MSME has been the key driver of slippages. And if I see the collection efficiency for the month of June has also trended lower. At the same time, MSME, SMA2 is also, and SMA1, 2 is also on the higher side. So how should one look at the MSME slippages going ahead? And within your maybe 3% kind of a number for full year, are you assuming that the most of the pain would be driven by MSME, or how should one look at it?
So I think, as I mentioned earlier, this quarter MSME was high, and it is again because of the way the external factors were working. I think I'll ask our GM credit monitoring to give details about what is the projections going ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Maya here. As you rightly pointed out, we agreed that the slippages were on the higher side. The SMA2 is a little higher, 3%, nearly more, and collection efficiency has dropped by nearly 2 to 3%. But at the same time, it is now only the lockdowns have been liberalized. We are able to approach the borrowers, and they are able to give us the financials. We can have unit visits done, and the restructuring part of it is yet to actually gain momentum under the RP2 scheme, under MSME segment. And even the ones which are slipped to NPA, there is possibility to do restructuring because there is good stock there also. So with all these combined factors, we have done under MSME considerably less only so far. Retail has been good, but we are seeing the signals of good signs there happening in the following months before September. So we are confident that we can have the regular range of having it below 10% maximum within that. Usually it is in that stage, but now our SMA 0 follow-up also has been tightened. So we hope to have the collection efficiencies spruced up and also bring it back to normalcy.
And second question, ma'am. First of all, before that, congratulations on the detailed disclosure on this collection efficiency and restructuring slide also. But just to, if I were to read this restructuring slide 34, so what we are saying is that RP1, let us say for the example of retail, the amount was 320 crores. RP2 is 2,483. And the third table, how do I read the third table? Is this the sum, or because then 2053 number, what is this number? Is it the sum of first table and second table, or is this the outstanding which includes everything? How do I read the third table or the total restructuring?
I think first table is only RP1, wherein it is being invoked, implemented, and as of 31st March and 30th June. The second table is RP2, which is again invoked and implemented. And third table indicates all the restructuring that has been done, including the CDR, SDR, 5/25, and the present the transfer and all these things. That is the third table.
Right. So let us say, sir, for example,
as of today, as of 30th June.
Right. So I thought as much, but if I were to total, let's say, table 1 and table 2, then it should be high. Let's say, for example, retail 320 plus 2483 is not matching with retail of 2053. So I was a bit confused as to, is this the addition, or what is the piece missing?
That is actually what is eligible or what we expected to be restructured and what has happened as on date. And the time limit is still available under RP2 till September. As far as RP1 is concerned, the time period for invocation is over, but implementation time period is still available. That is why we have depicted both.
The question is implemented of RP1, RP2. I did not totally the third table. implemented is 320 in the case of RP1. Second is 2483.
That is because of certain recoveries and closures which have happened that it has got reduced. It is fully implemented. As far as retail and MSME is concerned, it is fully implemented, but the numbers are reduced because of certain closures or because of recoveries.
Third table. Okay, that Jay will give the if any issues are, we'll take it.
No worries, sir. And the two data point thing, sir. This ECLGS, if you have the number handy for 1, 2, 3, 4, or the total, or if you have any breakup there.
Table 3 is complete. The table D indicates the entire registered book of the bank as of 30th June, 11,837. 20,130 crores done, of which NPA is turned, so net is 11,837. But okay, that RP1 and RP2, that further clarification. RP1 is again correct. RP2 will give the clarification. Whether how much is implemented and that is the case, will give it the difference.
No, sir. Actually, I was asking on ECLGS or GECL. If you have the outstanding number pension disbursed under the ECLGS scheme.
If you repeat,
the ECLGS disbursement.
Yeah.
Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme. If you have the number, what is the outstanding sanction or outstanding disbursement?
ECLGS.
5,330 crores. I am Sudhakar Rao, GM MSME. This is regarding ECLGS 1.0. The disbursement was 5,330 crores. And under the additional one, that is another 10% additional they have given. There it is sanctioned and disbursed is a small amount. It is only 9 crores. It's under progress.
Right. And anything on 2, 3, 4, sir? I mean, what is the total number if you have?
Yeah. Under 3, eligible are 288 crores. So far we have sanctioned 20 crores and disbursed 16 crores. Still time is there. Under subordinate debt also we have sanctioned 14 crores and entire thing has been disbursed.
ECLGS 745 crore has been disbursed. Corporate.
Mr. Mundra, your question is answered, sir?
Yeah, answered. Thank you, ma'am. I will come back in the queue. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anand Ladha from HDFC Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, I just understand that you guided for a 3% slippages for the full year. If you can also give some color on what sort of recovery and upgrade we are looking out in the current year, and also recovery from return of assets.
Recovery, we have projected 5,000 crores this year, including NCLT and non-NCLT, and upgradation of another 2,500 crores. So I'll ask our AD, Mr. Imran, to give the details.
Yeah. For this year, we have projected recovery of 5,000 crores and another upgradation of 2,500 crores, out of which 2,000 crore recovery will come from the account less than 1 crore and 3,000 crore will come account more than 1 crore. And upgradation will be 500 crores from the less than 1 crore and 2,000 will be from the more than 1 crore. And the expected recovery from NCLT for full year is 1,205 crores.
Okay.
And non-NCLT accounts, it will come around 3,795 crores.
Okay. So the NCLT recovery would be the account which would have provided 100%?
Our NCLT provision is 99%, so it's almost 100%.
Okay. So if I have to put up of the 5,000 crore of recovery, we expect how much we are expecting from account where we have made 100% provisioning or they are written off account.
NCLT, I told now we are expecting 1,205 crores and it's almost 100% provided only.
Okay. And on the tax side, sir, if you can give us some color, like how much of deferred tax asset we are carrying so that we can set it off against the probable profit we are expecting.
Anand, this deferred assets we are creating for this quarter 1,400 crore. Apart from that, we were having around 2,800 crore at the year beginning. So put together both we are having, and on the deferred tax assets, this 330 is what we have taken the tax amount on that part. So now in our books we are having 3,175 crore.
And sir, by when we can utilize this? So when we are expected to move to the new tax regime?
We are already in the new tax regime from December 20 onward. So at this time also reversal happens. DTA reversal is an ongoing process, creation and reversal. This time also there was a reversal of around 90 crore quarterly. So as and when it is due, timelines are over, we are doing the reversal part also. So both are there. As an amount outstanding of DTA 3,175 crore.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir. That's from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mahrukh Adajania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Firstly, in upgrades, there is an amount of, in the moment in NPLs in upgrades, the amount shown is for future retail. I mean, it will be the upgrade of the retail account.
The future retail is included there.
Okay, so that will be the major portion, right, of upgrade. That will be the only
major portion. There's also MMTC with about 200 crores.
Got it, ma'am. And this time also, there was a corporate slippage of 600 crores. So which sectors? Was it just one or two accounts or just one account? And if you could specify the sector.
There were 2, 3. One is jeweler. Urban road asset.
One jeweler and
all told, that's 700 crores. Sorry. One account of 200 crores, another of about 150 crores. So these are the major, the rest are the smaller accounts.
Sorry? So can you, I couldn't hear the last
one jeweler account of 200 crores and then another steel account of 150 crores. There were 2 road assets which together are about 250 crores. The rest are very small accounts.
Got it, ma'am. Got it. And the other question I wanted to check is that, just can I repeat the ECLGS amounts that you mentioned between 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5? The disbursals. So 5330 was ECLGS 1. 14.
So we can give the MSME first, I think. Please repeat.
You can note down, madam. 1.0, we have disbursed 5,330 crores.
Yes.
And 3.0, that is 16 crores disbursed.
Yes.
Then recently announced additional add-on, additional 10%, that is 8.50 crores.
Yes.
And the subdebt, there is a subdebt for stressed MSMEs, that is 13 crores. And 4.0, we are yet to do that because it's recently announced. So before 30th, we are yet to do. And the 2.0, my colleague will tell you, sir.
As far as the corporate is concerned, its total sanction amount is 1,041 crores, ECLGS 2, and out of it disbursed is 741 crores.
740.
741. Sanctioned 1,041, disbursed 741.
Got it. And ma'am, in the health infrastructure schemes, how much have you lent?
Health infrastructure, you're asking?
Yes. there were the RBI came up with
Right
some...
now we have lent something below 100 crores, but there are proposals in the pipeline. This is for the hospitals or the oxygen plants. So about 300 to 400 crores proposals will be probably going through this month. On the individual health, the support to individuals for their medical expenses and hospitalization expenses, that has been about 500 crores. 580 crores that has been disbursed so far. This is the COVID portfolio that we are building.
And was there any slippage in the ECLGS so far? Means either the ECLGS or the base loan slipping. Was there any slippage in MSME from ECLGS?
No slippage so far.
Got it. And then one last question on MSME collection efficiency. So why has it trended down in June? Because of course May was peak, and then June, at least in the second half, there was opening up. So why has the collection efficiency declined in June over May?
I think as soon as the lockdown is lifted, the unit doesn't start getting cash. It needs to stabilize, and we also saw how difficult it was for people to even move out or take any services or any purchases. So I think we need to give the MSME. I expect that in July it is picking up. So end June, not every city was up and running. So I think there was a slight hesitation in terms of opening up also. So I think we can give that benefit of doubt for June for MSMEs especially. And even in the banks, the staff, the way they have been impacted, it takes time for people to feel confident to move into the field and do their routine jobs. So I think July will be. We already see in the first fortnight of July the collection efficiency picking up. I think that would augur well for the coming quarters.
But ma'am, anytime during the call, could you give a breakdown of slippage for FY21? So we have 4Q, but for the full of FY21, if you could give the breakdown, if at all is available.
We'll give you. I think that was probably there in the last. But
it was 4Q for full year FY21.
Yeah, we'll give you the full year FY21 slippages. You want it? You have it? Yeah.
You want the full year March 21 or it's
21 full year?
Full year.
Yeah, total full year was fresh slippages of 9,429.55 crores. And recovery was 3,860 crores.
So there's a breakdown of slippage into agri, retail, MSME.
Okay, that will get separately. That Madhuk will get separately.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Shall I give that breakup? Okay. FY21 retail was 1,113 crore. Agri 1,348 crore. MSME is 2,924 crore. And corporate sector is 3,430.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aman Ilahi from Investec India. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, ma'am. So firstly, with respect to the MSME again, so we have given collection efficiency as of June. So just wanted to understand how is that number vis-a-vis the collection efficiency in March, which would be the number from where we started seeing a decline.
As of now, it is 78%. We are seeing that it will be definitely improved over the coming period. And you want it by March, is it not?
He wants from March 21, going back.
From March 21. MSME in March 21, 90% it was.
So between April, May, June, it
has tapered from 85. It was around 85. No, not this. He's asking from March 20. It was MSME was 90% and it has come in April 85, and slowly it has been tapering down. But we hope that it will be restored soon, and we hope that it will come back to at least 88 to 89% before September, definitely 90. The receivables are also stuck everywhere, so that is why they could not come back with the collection efficiency, and restructuring model is available, so they are making use of that more.
Sure, got it. So that's it from us. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Mehendale from Robo Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. I wanted to understand a little bit about interest reversal for this quarter. If I remember, last quarter the interest reversal was about 1,200, and prior to that we were doing about 10,000 crores of interest income for the quarter, which has now dropped to 9,600. So I just wanted to know a little bit more on this.
Interest income.
Interest income, I think only that, madam, the accounts which are kept at standard, wherever they are charging the interest as a reversal is there. But the figures that
That's 200 crores.
200 crores. Because 3-4 accounts, because of the court orders like SRAI and other things are kept at standard. So whatever the interest are being charged each and every quarter, we are reversing it and providing it fully. But actually, if you know, the yield on advances are also come down when compared to last year, and the overall interest income is low.
Okay, sure. And any guidance on the loan book growth for the next 3 quarters? Hello?
Yeah, as I already mentioned, I think given that we expect the corporate book to grow in this current year, we are looking at a 10%, around 10% growth in the current year. Earlier we had projected a higher growth, but I think we will take it as it, as the economy opens up. And RAM especially, I think, is growing quite at a good clip. And overall, between 10 to 12% is what we expect.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mona Khetan from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi ma'am, good evening. So my first question is pertaining to some of the corporate accounts. So is the infra NBFC still standard in your books, Shrey Infra?
Shrey Infra is standard in our book because of the NCLT orders, but we have already provided 20%. So 400 crores is provided instead.
Got it. And the recovery from DHFL, that's likely to come in Q2?
Hopefully Q2 we are expecting, or maybe latest by Q3. We are provided fully there.
Got it. And so what is your exposure on DHFL?
1,300.
1,300 crores.
Sure. And on the tax write-backs, while you did give some details on the DTA that you already carry, what sort of tax rates could one expect over the next 2 years, given the deferred tax assets that we have?
As we already told, we are in the new tax regime only. It is 25.14%. And
right, sir. But because of this...
Yes, Sunit. Hello. As I told, we are already in the new tax regime, which is 25.168%.
Sure, but
Earlier also I have informed that seeing the accumulated losses and set-off benefits, so there is no tax liability for next 2 to 3 years period. Will be there.
Okay, got it. Thanks. And lastly, if you could share the breakup of slippages for this quarter, the 4,400 slippages into corporate MSME retail. Thank you.
I think the overall slippage is 4,204 crores, which agri is 375 crores, retail is 627, MSME 2,456, and corporate 745.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Antariksha Banerjee from ICICI Prudential Asset Management Company. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello ma'am. Just two questions. One is in the MSME, can you tell me what percentage of your collections would involve a physical person or are in cash?
Didn't get your question. What did you ask about recovery in MSME?
Yeah, what percentage of your book the collections happen physically? I mean, there is manual involvement.
Collection in MSME, does it happen physically, manually, or does it happen by remitting phone calls and all that?
Collection is by both modes, sir. We do by call centers, we do by our BCs, our personal contacts, and it is remitted physically also, or they come and remit physically also, or they do it online also. It's a mixed way.
The reason I was asking, ma'am, is because during this lockdown, the physical collections would have been more difficult, right, compared to remitting directly. So is the physical collection a big chunk of the book, and that is contributing to this elevated stress? In which case, it should normally be.
I don't think the physical part is, yes, part of it is physical, but that way, assuming that chap has the money to pay. If MSME units are not functioning because of various factors impacting them, then the cash flows are impacted. So the repayment not coming in is also because of the unit not able to generate the cash to pay. So I think it's both. The physical part is part of it, but the more important one is whether they are able to earn to pay the bank. So that's why this restructuring and all this scheme.
Sure. Secondly, wherever the receivables are coming, they get credited to the current account or the city account with us. And when the balance is available, we charge the recovery. It's both. If the collections are there should not be any issue as such.
Got it. Okay. And the second is, of the new amalgamated entity, sir, what percentage of the book currently lies in South? The reason I'm asking is because South, I mean, very broadly speaking, entered into the lockdown and restrictions later compared to the North and West, and that somehow reflects in your collection numbers as well, because in retail SME, all your collections are lower in June versus May. So just a non-South and South split, is that a matter? Do you have a number?
I don't think, yes, to some extent that is true, but in the South, again, most of the places were impacted and there was a lockdown, as you mentioned, somewhat later. But I think it is more about the impact on the industry itself. So this is evenly spread across, I feel, especially in MSME. That one sector is paying or one geography is paying is not the case. I think it is evenly distributed, but we should get into that kind of granular. It's good you ask the question because we'll get this data covered.
Okay, sure. Thank you, ma'am. That's all.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mahesh from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Ma'am, just a couple of questions. One, in terms of the 2,600 odd crores of restructuring which happened on the corporate side, could you give us some color on which sectors and segments which have taken this restructuring?
I can say you know that one retail group is there in Mumbai and then one power group is there. So this mainly come from 7 accounts.
Okay, perfect. The second question is, in your QIP document, you had indicated that Bhushan Power and Steel was still an NPL in the books as of March 31st. Why was this not upgraded, and have you upgraded it this quarter?
So what we are going to say, actually, in case of Bhushan Power and Steel, it is a subject to conditional payment. So what we have done is, to the extent of the recovery, we have taken to our income account, and balance amount was outstanding as of March. That is fully provided 100%. This quarter, we are technically written it off.
Okay, so it was not an upgrade, is it?
Not an upgrade. It's a pure recovery that we have taken to our income. We have raised the provision and taken it to income account. In this quarter, the balance amount we are written it off technically. So other than any directions from or decision comes to the court, we will take accordingly how to handle it.
Okay. And there are some other accounts like this Chenani Industry and all. Have you seen resolution on those accounts as well?
Actually, in this particular account, the collections are coming at this line, the escrow account, but because of that order, they are not releasing the payment. But Chennai industry, at least we are hopeful of getting the substantial recovery in that. And even they are trying to sell that to Cube Hive. I think one of the EP funds.
Okay. Done. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sai Karthik from Investec. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Madam, there are several disclosures on the restructured book. I just wanted to know if there is any overlap between the 3-4 disclosures that you have given, and what is the non-overlap outstanding restructured advances as of Q1?
Overlap between what? Restructured and SMA?
Yeah, so there is RP1, there is RP2, and then you also have another disclosure which sort of gives the total restructured at 17,138, of which 11,837 is standard. So is the 11,837 the cumulative amount of total restructuring that has happened?
Overall restructured book of the bank, which is standard.
It will be standard SMA 0, 1 or 2. But it may be in the standard SMA 0 or 1 or 2.
Or 1 or 2.
Mainly, more than 90% it is standard and SMA 0. Maybe a little bit high, maybe under SMA 1 and 2.
Okay. And from your SMA disclosure, that is the special mention account disclosure, about 22% of your MSME book is currently in overdue position. That is actually sounding a very, very high number. Traditionally, I wanted to get how high this number went up to.
You have to pick up.
Sir, normally our SMA portfolio will be around totally around 70,000, of which
talk about MSME only.
In MSME, the general trend is to have about 30 to 40% in total SMA, which is actually, if we compare with 31/3/2021, the MSME totally has come down the SMA part of it. It is more on the SMA 0, but it has come up a little high on the SMA 2. SMA 1 is in fact come down to 29% from 33%. And normally the range is 50% moves from SMA 0 to SMA 1, then 20% it moves. But now because of these factors, it is moving in this direction.
And do you anticipate a high level of slippages from this 12,000 odd crore amount in MSME for the next 2-3 quarters?
No, we are expecting a decline only, a phased decline.
The SMA book I understand, but would there be significant slippages from this 12,200 crores, or as you said, there could be restructured and probably in a moratorium period, and hence no risk of default yet?
Definitely, there would be a uptick in the slippages from MSME. But when we calculated the overall slippage ratio, we have taken the other segments into account. Even in MSME, I think restructuring will bring in a certain level of upgradation. And these figures are, again, very typical to this quarter. So going forward, we don't see such a high percentage there. But definitely compared to the pre-COVID times, this time the MSME book is going to be more vulnerable, and there would be a slightly higher, maybe 10 to 12 bits higher slippage in MSME definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jay Mundra from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi ma'am. 2 questions. One on this retail collection efficiency, right? So in April it was 88, then in May it went up, and then in June, counterintuitively it looks like it has gone down, which is slightly counterintuitive. So any reason, ma'am, why this is the case, that retail collection efficiency has gone down?
recovery has gone down in retail sector, mainly under mortgage loan and educational loan. Primarily, the mortgage loan part of it is with business and MSME segment only, who are facing stress now due to the lockdown and second wave and all. And education loan borrowers also are in stress because either due to loss of employment or salary cut or difficulties in securing an employment. So the collection efficiency dropped down for these reasons only in retail segment. It's slowly picking up, madam. Both retail and MSME now, July beginning of the first half, we see it picking up.
Right.
Not drastically, but it is picking up.
No. And the last thing, ma'am, on double B and below, right? So we have given additional disclosure this quarter as well. But if you look at the slide 21, where we have given 14,455 crores of corporate which are below double B and below, and having more than 100 crores exposure, these corporates are definitely not there in SMA 1 or SMA 2 because that number is very small, so as to say, or at least the SMA 2 is small, SMA 1 is slightly higher at 4,000. But how to look at this number, ma'am, which are not sovereign, having double B and below rating? How to look at this number, 14,400 crores in terms of riskiness? Thank you.
So we did as much analysis as possible on the double B and below. I think, you have to break it. So this corporate, what you are asking is about the 14,455 crores?
Right, ma'am. Is there any embedded riskiness? Because, while the SMA 2 number in corporate is small, SMA 1 number is reasonable, but it looks like within corporate this is the most riskiest piece. How do you assess the riskiness?
Some of these MSMEs and all, even if they are good companies with good collateral, they would still not get a BBB rating. So we have many of those companies, and then of course government we have given separately. Even this corporate includes the Shrey figure. That itself is 2,000 crores. So I think more or less when we do the further breakup, they are double B or B also, but many of these are hospitals, educational institutions, CRE, LRD exposures. So we have the security and the collateral and the cash flows are good enough, and the bank has very good relationships with many of these companies. So I see at least from the breakup, I see at least another 5,000 to 6,000 crores of very good accounts. Yes, they may not get a BBB rating for whatever reason, but for the bank, they are well-established customers, and I don't see any unusual risk in that portfolio.
Right. And the recently upgraded Future will also be sitting here, right? Or that will be outside of this?
The Future is also sitting there. Even Shrey is sitting there. RKM is sitting there. Where we are putting one Delhi Metro Express is sitting there.
Right. Understood. And the last thing, sir, on restructuring, if you can, give a range as to by September, how much are you expecting the total restructuring? It looks like, you have given fairly good details as on today, but what this number could be as this window is closed. Thank you.
We had originally predicted an expected amount of 9,000 crores, which will be somewhere around 2.5 to 3% of the standard advances. So far, we have already done under the RP2 scheme 3,575, and as on date, it has even touched nearly 4,300. So I think we will be within that 3% maximum.
So 3% for RP2, right?
3% of our standard advances, which may come up to about nearly 6,000 crores, 6,000 to 6,500 crores.
Okay, so 6,000 to 6,500 crores, of which, let's say, 3,600 almost is already done, right? So additional, let's say, 2,500 to 3,000 crores. Is that what you are implying, ma'am?
Yes.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, and all the best.
Hey, one more thing we would like to tell in the case of double B and below book, now what's happening is even if the company is having two ratings, One may be triple B and above, the other may be double B. Then what we do is we take in the lowest of the rating. So this also to the extent of 7,000 crore, including government guarantee and without government guarantee and corporate also. So we have taken the lowest of the rating. That is 7,100 crores or crores.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sushil from Indus Equity. Please go ahead.
Congratulations for stable numbers, ma'am. I have small questions. Your outlook on treasury, cost of funds. Hello. Hello.
Yes, yeah. Can you repeat the question?
First is your outlook on treasury and cost of funds.
As far as the cost of funds is concerned, 408. Again, all are waiting whether we are seeing whether the third wave will come or not. Even RBI, though you must be aware about in the case of the new series, the rate has gone up. So hopefully, in case the economy picks up, the days to come ahead, the cost of funds are bound to go up. So will be the your yield on advances. So I think it's a balancing figure. Both the liabilities and assets will be doing it.
Okay. So are we likely to take the benefit of RBI supporting GSAP from book, or we are happy with the deposit rate and the growth rate what we are concluding in right now in a vision of 10% growth?
Yes, presently you may be aware that all the banks are having excess liquidity and there is no scope for investment. So either it is getting invested in sub 6% or maybe sub 5% also for short-term duration and T-bills. Once the economy picks up, if there is a demand for credit, almost all these funds should be shifted to the loan growth. So that will be compensating factor. So whatever the additional margin from the advances will make up for the interest income and loss in the treasury gains.
Secondly, what percentage of agricultural loans are backed by gold?
The percentage of?
Your agricultural loans are backed by gold.
Gold, 50% actually. 41 out of 82.
So 41,000 crores is backed by gold, you would say.
It's about 50% is backed by gold.
So your agriculture advance is 80,000 crores. So I'm assuming 40,000 is backed by
41,000 I think is the gold dual agriculture loan book. Am I right, Sudeep? Yes.
And my last question, as this is your vision on the last slide, which you've said about strategy and focus area, what kind of initiative and expenses are you taking up for digitization and leveraging your balance sheet with all the data points which you have highlighted on strategy and focus area? And what are the initiatives you already started and how much time would you think the bank would take to reach that?
So there are a lot of initiatives we are taking on digitization. I would request our GM in charge of this transformation office to give you the details.
In fact, we got this our strategy initiative approved in the board meeting in November. In that, mainly there are 24 high-level initiatives and 150 maybe at lower level. In fact, we are going that with 4 core areas. One is digital transformation, then operating model, and then we are PMS and the LDP, Leadership Development Plan. These are the 4 core areas where we are going ahead with the initiatives. Initially, we are going with the consultant, and then maybe going forward, the expenditure and all will be able to tell. But initially, we are going with the consultant only. As of now, the figures and all, we have not yet decided how much we are going to spend. But initially, we are going with the consultant.
So, yeah, as a consultant, you have to make a roadmap or you have fructified the roadmap?
Yeah. So as Mr. Bajaj mentioned, actually as part of the amalgamation, when we did the harmonization itself, so we had planned to 2-3 things we did. One is the IT architecture itself, the hardware, software, everything we had a relook. And now what we have taken licenses for or bought the hardware or used the ones that were there, it is now state of the art. So more than 1,000 crores was invested in IT itself to reap the benefits over the next 4 to 5 years. So it was a one-time investment, as part of the amalgamation. That includes the digital infrastructure, because we need to have this digital on-lending, lending platform, and also the back-end, end-to-end digitization. All these initiatives have already been initiated. We have the board approvals, we have the approvals to incur the amount. The implementation of the loan LOS is already on. For MSME we have completed, and for retail also it is going on. In September it will be completed. Already digital models, analytics we are using to pre-sanction loans. So this is because of the amalgamation. It took some doing to first get the CBS integrated. But once that is done, this is a ready platform to take off. And as he mentioned, the digital initiatives have all been put up to the board for broad in principle approval. We have those approvals. We are working on the RFP, and very soon we will have this rolling out. But simultaneously, the work is already going on these initiatives, because we believe that now the bank has to transform itself fully into both the physical. We cannot leave the physical mode where we are very strong in some of the areas, but also the digital has to come in a big way. I think the results will be seen from the quarter starting maybe December, once the LOS rollout is complete. But yes, this is a huge expenditure and also a huge investment for the bank. So I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, I've got the feeling, is what I needed to know.
I can send you the details about the project.
Yeah, and speak to Mr. Bajaj offline if required for further details. And second thing is this business network. Thanks to amalgamation, you are concentrated on East, Central and South with almost 4,500 branches, whereas Western and Northern are limited by branch, but your business-wise you may be large. What kind of initiatives, because you will remain in the strategic 5 or 6 banks which government will retain, what initiatives you are taking for becoming a pan-India with more balanced approach for West and North?
Your observation is correct. I think, yes, the concentration has been in the South earlier, but now it is pan-India, and today also East and even UP. We have a big presence in UP. So it's not as, but yes, North and to some extent Western. Western Bombay, again, all the corporate accounts are there. So it gets a big share of the business. But in terms of the spread of branches across Maharashtra and Gujarat, there is still a lot of area to cover. So whether it is, I think we will open, we have plans to open branches in those areas where the potential is there to take. And also the other alternative presence, whether it is a kiosk, whether it is a BC, I think we have a plan to, make the presence there. Whether which model and which works for the bank better will be worked on a case-to-case basis. But the plan is also to roll out more BCs, and whether it's a BC or a kiosk, to have the connect with the rural and the semi-urban areas, like some other private banks are doing right now.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mahrukh Adajania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Ma'am, I have a couple of follow-up questions. Firstly, you said that one power account was also restructured. Was there a power account in the restructuring pipeline? We thought it was only a few state-owned accounts which were not later restructured and future and would be.
Our asset was there. That was belonging to a big group. That is there. That was there, and that was restricted. No. It's only restricted. The payment extension, nothing more than that.
Sorry?
So no other pipeline. Whatever is, see, in the case of corporate, whatever else we done, that's completed, and 30th June there's no more accounts in the corporate book. That is required to be restricted.
But there was a power account as well, is what you said.
Yeah, that was a power set that we restructured in the last quarter.
That restructuring was only extension of the repayment. There was no NPV loss or anything like that. It was a big group.
Got it. And ma'am, because the future resolution is being delayed, how much time do you have before the account slips into NPL? Because the resolution with Reliance is important for the account to stay standard. So that's why I'm asking.
GM credit, Madam Gayatri too.
Reliance, this future, this is a plan where Reliance deal is not taken. This is not taking into account the Reliance deal and the Amazon issue. Without that, the group or the company has to survive. For that only the lenders have worked out a plan.
Okay, so it's unlikely
to Reliance.
It does not rely. I mean, it's not with the reliance on Reliance. It is basically their own internal cash accruals. Okay. Yeah.
Ma'am, did you have any recoveries from Kingfisher and Gurgaon Metro? Did you have exposure to these accounts?
Gurgaon Metro and
Kingfisher.
We don't have. Neither.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
So thank you very much. We enjoyed the interaction. Actually, your questions make us more granular into the details, and it's always very interesting. Thank you very much, and we hope and we are confident that whatever projections we are giving, we have the visibility of those working out. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of Emkay Global Financial Services Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.